if I could please invite on stage our session moderator. We have with us Kazim Rizvi, Director, The Dialogue. And joining Kazim Rizvi, if I could please invite Jayaprakash, Reddy, and Nikhil, Batra to please come on stage. Ladies and gentlemen, the voices of the game, let's hear it from the voices themselves. A very exciting session indeed, and thank you so much for joining us. And on that note, I'm going to quickly hand it over to Mr. Rizvi. Over to you then.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. First of all, many thanks to IMAI for organizing this wonderful event, probably the biggest gaming event of the year. And many thanks to EGF and FIFS for co-powering it with IMAI. So we won't keep you guys waiting for your lunch. I know we are nearing 1 o'clock, but it's great to see that panel. We sort of ended the last panel ahead of time, so I think we have some time to sort of go through and discuss from the gamers. And I think this is something which is quite unique for this conference, and we are seeing for the day as well. We are talking about policy, we're talking about regulatory measures, we're talking about investments, etc. But many times we see often that in all the discussions, the perspectives of gamers is missed out, And I think it's great to see the fact that for this event, we're able to bring in 2 avid gamers at the stage today to share their experience with us, to talk to us about their experience, what their learnings have been, and how the gaming community in India is growing as well, as we proceed and as gaming progresses and grows going forward. So for this panel, first of all, I'd like to welcome Jayaprakash and Nikhil. They are 2 avid fantasy sport gamers, but I'd like them to introduce themselves to all of you. So maybe Jayaprakash, you could just introduce yourself.
Yeah, hi, my name is Jayaprakash. I'm 57-year-old. I am a businessman as well as a fantasy player. I am from Bangalore.
My name is Nikhil Batra. I am 38-year young gamer, I would say, and I am into recruitment business from last 9 years.
Thank you, Jay. Thank you, Nikhil. And as you clearly can see that fantasy sports, online games, they cut across multiple age groups. So it's great to see that it's not just the fact that youngsters are playing this game. We have amongst us people from different age groups, and I'm a different age group than them as well. So it's great to see this. So I just want to sort of get into the conversation now, and Jay, I just want to come to you first. Just tell us a little bit about what is fantasy sports, and in your experience, how has it been?
Fantasy sports is a virtual sports team creation. The knowledge of the players, teams, and the playing conditions become instrumental in creating a winning combination. The skill lies in the analyzation. You get to know more sports, formats, players across the globe. And in fact, we fantasy players know more about players than the selectors. And it's a great way to connect with friends and families.
Right.
We create different leagues among ourselves, and it gives that extra competitiveness.
Right. Nikhil, I want to come to you, and I think a couple of things which Jay spoke about. One was the knowledge factor, and the other was skill and connecting with families. How has it been in your experience as a fantasy sports gamer?
Yeah, I would like to give 2 examples. The first one is skill, and second is community building. So there was a match between Pakistan and West Indies long back, and the weather conditions were very rainy. So we had a community wherein we have a group wherein we play fantasy game, right? So one of my friend, he chose almost 10 players from one single team and a single player who was a bowler from another team. So after the entire competition was over, he stood almost 10th in our group. So we asked him why he chose this team set. So he was like, the weather conditions are raining, and the first batters would get advantage. So it's not only a fluke, or it's not purely a kind of luck game, you can say. It's purely a skill base that I would like to bring that. And second example, I used to live in another society earlier, and now I shifted to a different society. But we have a community wherein we keep posting or keep updating each other on the players, on the matches, and that's how we are connected. So it's not, it's helping us in a manner wherein we can get connected and stay updated on the gaming part.
Jaya, I just want to take on from this, and there are three aspects which we want to discuss for today. One is around, there have been many myths, misconception around fantasy sports, online games of skill, especially around one, is it betting, right? Because it is often, these are some of the myths which keep floating around. So what's your take? As a gamer, what's your take on that?
Yeah, there is a misconception among the people that fantasy sports is like betting. I completely disagree because the results in fantasy sports are not dependent on any one singular event. That's how betting works. For example, betting is a game of chance, whereas fantasy sports, it's more complex. Lot of research is involved. For example, if I am preparing for a match, I will take at least half an hour to analyze the pitch conditions and the weather conditions. And it's like, and not only that, and you should know, I mean, you should research about the venue. If, for example, if it is a batting wicket, I'll take more batsmen. If it is a moisture in the wicket, I'll take more bowlers. So a lot of complex these things are involved. And you know what? If I had to do the research, I also do research about how many right-handers there in the team, how many left-handers there in the team. Based upon that, I pick the right bowlers.
So I think research, the element of knowledge, I think what you really spoke about was the variables which are involved. Because I used to be a cricketer back in the day when we used to play, let's say on a green wicket. We knew that pacers will take advantage from it. I used to be a spinner myself. So for us, low green wicket was better than a placid hard wicket. So I think what you're speaking about is on the level of even professional players and their knowledge. So that's really heartening to see. Nikhil, I just want to come to you as well. What, in your experience, if maybe you can give us one example and maybe a couple of instances on this point as well?
Honestly, I mean, fantasy sports has become our day-to-day life activity. The way we go to Netflix, the way we go to social media, right? So it has become a daily routine part of our life, wherein we try to expertise or we try to implement our skills and try to get the right team. So that's what I believe.
Next point, which I want to discuss with both of you, and this is around another misconception, which is that fantasy sports is addictive, right? And I mean, over to you, Jay. What do you think? Is it something which, you're a successful businessman from Bangalore, is it something which has taken over your lives? Have you run into trouble? I mean, just...
Unfortunately, fantasy sports acquired the perception of being addictive. I don't think so, because I'm playing fantasy sports since 2002 Super Selector days. In fact, I was the winner of 2002 Super Selector. And I'm also playing Dream 11 since 2016. I have never been addictive. See, for me, it's an entertainment option, just like a Facebook, Netflix, or a movie. Just like watching a movie, I also go through a different kind of emotions throughout the match. Okay. For me, I mean, it keeps me away from my business tensions as well as personal tensions. It's like a stress buster for me.
That's a good point. I think it's become a part of your lives. Is it?
Yes,
is it
yes.
something, Nikhil, do you agree with that?
Yes, as Jayaprakash rightly said that, I mean, it gives us stress-free time, right? Also, I mean, I just wanted to add something. When we talk about skills game, it's not always mandatory that people who makes guru team kind of thing, and there are a lot of other teams they will always win. So it's all your expertise, your skills, how you add, how you make your team, how you do the research and analysis of those teams makes the game successful.
And there is a trend that those who have better knowledge or those who have better insights or those who understand the game's intricacies usually tend to win more often than others, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah.
Right. So there's a very clear aspect of, there is a learning curve, and there is definitely a fact that, okay, if you have better knowledge, you will end up applying that always in a case where you will be able to beat other players who may not have that level of knowledge.
Definitely, because if I have that knowledge and skills, I mean, I used to win more than, I mean, if it's about 75% skill and 25% luck. So for me, that 75% skill part helps me a lot, dominates.
Which is why it's not dependent on random set of events.
Yes, exactly.
Right. So The third point, which again, I mean, this is again another myth or a misconception, maybe a concern as well, which has been floating around in the public discourse is, do you play for money, right? How important is the factor of money? And, would love to get your perspective, Jay, and then maybe Nikhil.
Do I play it for money? My answer is big no. Because even if there is no money involved, I play fantasy sports. Okay, the passion and love for the game
Right.
is the dominant factor and which keeps me engaged. Money is definitely a positive, but it's not the only reason I keep engaged in fantasy sports. The excitement of creating my own team using knowledge and the skills acquired over the years is a major push. When this expertise converted into a win, it's a great feeling and it's a great mental boost also.
I mean, the fact that you were, from the super selector days, you've been playing this, and I don't think back then there was any element of money back in 2002. Because I remember when super selector came out, I played it as well. There were a lot of players, and we were all in our teenage back then. It was a big thing, when it started. And I think from my memory looking back, it was like you could talk about it to your friends, you could talk about it to your family, and you also are perceived to be sort of an expert in the game. And those who used to play cricket back in the day, professional cricket, would actually contest and play super selector more than those who weren't. So I think definitely, the feeling of winning. Do you agree with me, Nikhil, on the
Yes, I
feeling
do
of
agree.
winning and feeling of the fact that okay, I know the game better than others, right?
Yeah. So that's what. I mean, there are a lot of contests wherein you don't need to put even money. So sometimes you're not sure about your team, you go and you join a free contest there.
Yeah.
So that you can at least analyze your skills, how good you are, what are the mistakes you are doing, and then you can later on think of putting money. It's your decision.
Right. And I think this is also something which is great to hear from these two avid gamers amongst us. The fact that, they are all successful businessmen. It's not like they have a lot of time on their hands or, I'm sure they have packed lives, they have a family. And for the love of the game, they participate and they build their fantasy sports teams and they sort of get involved in those leagues as well. So it's great to see the fact that how this is becoming a part of your lives. It is giving you that mental boost, in a very packed life of so many challenges. I know we're all stressed, so many issues in our own general lives, personal or professional. And this is something which helps you, sort of really go out there, follow your passion, and experience winning and experience that boost, which is so important to give you a very balanced life as a whole, right? If I'm not wrong.
I believe with the introduction of fantasy sports in India, the sport became more popular, especially cricket. You can see more viewers watching the game, non-India games also. In fact, my wife is a doctor as well as a fantasy player, knows almost all international players. No. And we keep discussing the game at home, and sometimes we keep arguing about whom to pick and which player to drop. It's like a family game for us.
It brings you together. I mean,
Yes,
it keeps
it
the family together, right? It's a
definitely.
great way to talk and great way to bond, right? I mean, Nikhil, what do you think?
Yeah, similar experience. I own a company wherein most of the resources are Gen Z, right? And competing millennial with Gen Z, it makes a lot of difference, right? And that's how we enjoy, right? Whenever we have breaks, whenever we have time, there are matches going on. So we keep engaging with each other. We have a different community built there as well.
And the fact that you spoke about, helping traditional sports, there are a lot of examples. For example, I mean, on Netflix, there's a series called Drive to Survive, which has really made Formula One very, very popular amongst the masses. So the role of internet and the role of, online games, the role of fantasy sports itself to help the growth of traditional sports. I think that's fascinating because you spoke about your family's example. And I know of a lot of people who, because they are so involved in, creating the teams and winning, etc., they are following sports more than many even, ex-professional players. Uh, and that is something which do you see in your daily lives when you talk to your family or even within your friend circle? Do you see that growth and that passion for sports coming out? And eventually, there is data to support this. The fact that traditional sports, there's a lot more fan following, which is today than it used to be maybe even 10 years ago.
Yeah, actually, with the introduction of fantasy sports, no, our friend circle became large, and we keep discussing about the game, whom to pick. I mean, it's like involvement every day. We create a groups, fantasy groups, and one friend of mine gives different perception about the match, and we all gather. I mean, it's like a passionate thing for us.
I mean, the fact that you spoke about you have these groups and have these get-togethers where you debating which team to pick, which team not to pick, so there are variables, there are elements. Your understanding tells you, okay, for this game, I'm going to pick this bowler. I'm putting my thoughts on this bowler because I believe, he's up for a big run or, he's doing well in the last few matches. Because you also have to follow the sport to understand which players are performing well at that point of time. As they say, the class is permanent. So you have to choose players who are very good with their sport. But also, form is temporary. And this is something which, we used to see, we see in every other sport, but I've learned this from cricket, is that you have to know which players are in form, which players aren't in form. They may be great players, but if they're not in form, you will not pick them. Now, someone who's not following the sport probably would pick a very good player who may not be in form and may not do as well as someone who's following the sport and knows, okay, this guy is performing better, so I'm going to pick him. These kind of debates you guys have, and these are all intelligent debates, by the way, informed debates.
Actually, to win in a game, you need to not only pick the form players, but the out-of-form players. That is the key question. Because, say, 10 players entering or creating a contest, 9 out of 10 will pick the form players. But if you pick that non-form players, if he performs, and it's nothing like it.
And I think that is where I know we have to end, but we'll just take one more minute. And I think that is where your job becomes so tricky. And one could say that maybe some of you could replace Indian selectors as well. I don't know, because the fact that you guys are following the players so very well on a very regular basis, you could help the selectors pick a team for the World Cups or for the T20 World Cup, which is happening next year, I guess. So, but it's great to hear from all of you. Thank you so much, Jay. Thank you so much, Nikhil. I think, it demonstrates the passion of sports. It demonstrates the enthusiasm for sports amongst our gamers. And this community is growing in India. This community is coming up thick and fast. And it's coming up for the love of sports, which is great to see. As an ex-sportsman myself, I'm really happy and proud to see that so much passion is coming out. And the contribution of fantasy sports to propel the growth is really heartening to see. Thank you, Jay. Thank you, Nikhil. It's great to listen from you.
Thank you, Rizvi. Thank you all.
Thank you very much, Kazim, for beautifully weaving those thoughts together. And can I please request our panelists to come together for a group photograph? Let's do that. And ladies and gentlemen, it's absolutely, I would say invigorating to also hear it from the gamers themselves. And that being said, let me also inform you that it's the opportune time to put your thoughts on food, because it's time for lunch. Now, the scheduled break is for 45 minutes, and the lunch is being served in the Shah Jahan Hall. That being said, once you're back, we'll be announcing the giveaways for the best tweet and the best LinkedIn post, all that and more. So all that action coming up. In fact, we also have a sundowner happening this evening. So I hope all of you are looking forward to a very interesting agenda that we've curated specially for all of you. With that, I'm going to request you all to kindly proceed. Those who are heading for lunch, then please do so at the Shah Jahan Hall. One important announcement, please do take care of your belongings. A very, very important warning there. Please take care of your belongings, and see you exactly at 1:50 p.m. I repeat, 1:50 p.m. We're going to get started with the announcements of the giveaways, and after that, we'll deep dive into our next set of sessions. Thank you so much. See you all at 1:50 p.m. Thank you.